Hello and welcome to the Watch Lucky channel where we bring you all the good and honest watch reviews. If you haven't done so, please I'd like to remind you, please click the like and subscribe buttons because I've got new videos uploaded every week just for you. In today's video, we're going to do a full-length review of this Seiko Presage over here. This is from the recently released green Urushi dial series, and reference number for this watch is SARD015. Alright, as can be seen from the hang tags over here. So this is a JDM model, and the hang tags, everything, you will see Japanese tags here. And I must have left out this part in my unboxing video. Over here in the hang tag it says Urushi. Alright, so it's a type of Japanese lacquering technique for painting the dial, and they've also included the craftsman who did the lacquering for this dial, alright, for this particular piece. And I think there's something unusual for any big brand to sort of, tell you the person who is in charge of painting this dial here. Alright, very cool move by Seiko over here. So the Urushi green dial here is part of a 2,000 piece LE, limited to 2,000 pieces. And I think the earlier Urushi dial, which is sort of a inky black dial, lacquered dial, and it was really popular, so Seiko has sort of, jumped on a bandwagon, alright, to create more of these dials here, and I'm pretty sure this one here is going to be just as popular. So in addition to the Urushi green dial over here, Seiko has also included this really cool retrograde date and day feature. So instead of the usual day and date display, they've sort of, used a pointer hand to show you the day and date, and I think that's a pretty unusual feature. And of course, the watch here is on loan from our boutique. Thank you very much, Eric and your team, for so kindly loaning me all these watches for my videos. And now with all the things out of the way and with the lens zoom in just a little bit, let's go through some of the specs here found on this Seiko green Urushi dial. It's got a case size of 40.5 millimeters, and total thickness here is 13.1 from the base of the display back to the flat sapphire crystal. Alright, I know on Seiko's website it says that this one here has got a thickness of 12.9, but I did a measurement with my calipers and turns out to be it is actually over 13. Alright, so just over 13, about 13.1 millimeters, and I think that is just way too thick for a non-sports watch. Luck width here remains at 20 millimeters, and the strap changing fans out there, you're gonna have a good time with this one here, because the way I look at this one is definitely going to be a strap monster. Lug length here is also manageable, comes in at 47.3 millimeters, and it shouldn't be a problem at all because they've also got this bit of a curve here to the mid case, and I think it's going to fit many different wrist sizes. The Urushi green dial here is powered by Seiko's SARD015 movement, so I definitely feel that it is some sort of a derivative of the SARD015 or SARD035 movement. At the time of this video, the Urushi green here goes for just under 2,000 Singapore dollars. You can buy this one at our boutique for around $1,880. So of course, go down to the shop, have a good chat with Eric. You might just get a slightly better price. And the strap combination here, I think it's just beautiful, because when you've got a dark green, deep dark green dial here, and you pair it up with a really dark brown strap, I think, wow, this combination is just unbeatable. Alright, so again, I'm liking the dark inner lining over here. So overall, I think in terms of looks and aesthetics, I think this watch here just looks fantastic. So looking at the case build quality, I can see that it is definitely way above the more entry-level Seiko Presage models, alright, those hovering around the $800 to $1,000 mark. This one here definitely has more attention paid to the craftsmanship, and the brushing on the top of the lugs here, I would say, is done really well. Alright, and there is a really nice level of sheen, as you can see from how I run through my fingers over here. So apart from the brush tops of the lugs over here, the rest of the watch case here is done in a polished finish. Alright, a bit of a fingerprint magnet over here. Okay, but again, the polishing here is done really well. Alright, reflections here look good, almost mirror-like, but I don't think it is on same level of GS standards. And now let's just take a few moments to admire this deep, dark Urushi green dial over here. Alright, I'll just stop talking for a while to let you look at the dial over here. As you can see here, this dial here is just, quite something. Alright, I strongly advise you to look at the dial in real. Alright, go down to the boutique, the watch stores, and have a good look at this dial here. Right, it cannot be captured over the camera because in person it just looks so much better. The deep dark green lacquering here is just on a whole different level, and I think that alone is probably worth the asking price. But overall, I do think that this dial here is just that bit busy because it's got that sub dial going on and all that, and for me, I prefer my watches to be simpler. And it's also worth noting that these prints over here, they are not just printed, alright, they do give off a slightly 3D effect. And I think, again, you can see the higher level of detail given to all this slightly higher end Seiko Presage. And now let's quickly move on to a staged wrist shot of the Urushi green dial over here. This is not a real wrist shot because I don't want to remove the protective layers here on the buckle. Alright, it is a fold over clasp over here, and I also don't want to round out, alright, or sort of bend the leather strap over here. This is a brand new watch after all. So as you can see, this watch here is slightly on the bigger side of things at 40.5 millimeters. Not a really good case size when it comes to less sporty watches. Alright, I would think that for such a design you want to keep it under 40 millimeters, but then again, I do believe that the movement here has got something to do with the case size because they obviously cannot slot in a smaller movement due to the retrograde styling hands and all that. Also, a slight complaint here about the thickness at 13.1 or 13.2 millimeters. It's just way too tall again for a non-sports watch. Okay, so definitely on the slightly bigger side of things here. So speaking of the watch case size and all that, here's a comparison between the Seiko Urushi Green and the Omega Speedmaster. So both watches are slightly over 40 millimeters. This one here on my left, Seiko, is 40.5. The Omega Speedmaster here is 42 millimeters. And in terms of thickness, they're actually rather similar. Okay, this one here is 13.1, the Seiko on my left, and on my right, the Omega comes in at 13.5. Right, both very similar in terms of sizes and also in terms of busyness on the dial. Okay, chronograph, of course, you have to have all those sub-dials and all that, but overall, here's a good comparison in terms of size for these two watches. So in summary, I would say the Urushi green dial here is really beautiful. Alright, it's got that dark brown strap, to pair it up with the dark green, deep dark green dial here. This combination, my opinion, I think it's a winner. You can't go wrong. Right? Very classy, and to add those gilt dial hands on the second hand and all the sub-dial hands here, I think this is a touch of class over here in terms of overall design and aesthetics. Here's one last look at this beautiful looking Urushi green dial here. The lacquering, the work here is just amazing. Alright, I would suspect this one here is hand painted. Alright, a lot of attention paid to detail, and this alone, this dial, lacquer painted dial alone, is well worth the price. But then again, it's such a pity because the watch here is slightly too big. Alright, so for this styling, I think it would be wise for them to keep it under 40 millimeters, and also you really need to bring down the thickness to say around under 12 millimeters. I think that will be a better dimension for watches of this style here. Alright, so I understand this is not a full-blown dress watch. Alright, it's not those 35, 36 millimeters batik looking style of dress watch. But then again, it's not a sports watch, so you do need to sort of reduce the dimensions here. So there you have it. That was my review of the Seiko SARD015. They call this one the Urushi green lacquer dial. Alright, really nice looking watch here. Alright, if you're a big fan of the Urushi dial series, I think this one here is definitely worth taking a look. Alright, so this is the Watch Lucky. I'm from Singapore. I'll see you next week together with George. Bye bye.